Alright, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Texas Storm Chasers Baldy-in-Chief David Reimer coming up on 10:38 on this 24th of January 2023. We now have our first tornado warning of the day, so let's go ahead and get into it. This is going to be a tornado warning for portions of eastern Lavaca County and southern Texas until... looks like they're going for 11 a.m. So this tornado warning does not include the city of Hollettsville. This does include Etzel. This includes Speaks. This does not include Highway 90 right now. Let me go ahead and make sure those road signs are on here. And this is the first of what'll probably be a couple of potential tornado warnings today. So let's go ahead. We'll switch over to the which way the wind's blowing mode. And this is going to be for a circulation south of Highway 90. Near County Road 15, about 10 miles southeast of Hollettsville, and about 8 miles south of Highway 90 for now. This is the first of several thunderstorms we're going to be watching this morning into this afternoon across portions of the coastal plains heading up the upper Texas coast and into southeast Texas. We'll likely have a tornado watch issued for those same areas here soon. Alright, make the camera pretty, make me pretty. Hi, me. There we go. So again, we do have a tornado warning until 11 a.m. And this is going to be for southern Lavaca County in the coastal plain / southeast Texas. And again, this includes Speaks, Etzel, and Vienna. This does not include Hollettsville. This does not include Sublime. And at this point, this doesn't include places like Sheridan, Rock Island, Altair, Garwood, or Nada yet. As this thunderstorm continues moving northeast, we'll see if it displays continuous signs of strong low-level rotation, and if it does, we may end up seeing the National Weather Service extend the tornado warning further to the east. But at this point, we're just looking at various sources of data. Looks like we're halfway between two radar sites, so there definitely is a circulation. It is not as easy to discern on radar as it could be. I mean, you can see it there. And again, coming up now on County Road 16. Southeast of Hollettsville. And this is going to be moving to the east-northeast at about 40 to 50 miles an hour. Now, a disadvantage we're dealing with in this area right now is that this thunderstorm is at a pretty high radar beam height. About 6,500 feet, which is looking in the mid-levels of the thunderstorm, not necessarily, the lowest couple thousand feet. And this is in proximity of a warm front, which, if it's north of the warm front, that would help reduce the threat of a tornado. If it is south of, or on the warm front or south of it, it's in, favorable conditions to be tornadic. But we can't tell at 6,500 feet at the radar beam height. But the warm front is very close by, so definitely worth taking it seriously, as this thunderstorm could produce a tornado, in addition to the potential for damaging straight line winds over 60 miles an hour. And again, if this thunderstorm were to continue on its present track, it could be approaching places like Eagle Lake at about 11:30, Altair at about 11:20, Rock Island at about 11:10 to 11:11, and perhaps near Sheridan by 11 to 11:02. So this is the only tornado warning we have right now. It will not be the last. I believe that is pretty easy to say. Let's go ahead. We'll take a look at these storms here in South Texas. See if I have to sneeze or not. Nope, one of those that just doesn't want to happen. So again, we're watching these little storms developing northeast of, or I should say southwest of Victoria, southwest of Bloomington, west of Ostwell, north of Bayside. And again, these are at this point not severe. They're not all that organized, but you can see with the extreme amounts of wind shear we have in place today, all these are exhibiting, you know, that little classic hook sign. They look like they're spinning. That's because these things are all spinning like a top. But they're not super organized yet. Now we've got a new severe thunderstorm warning. This is going to be for a severe thunderstorm a little further to the northeast. This is going to be for a severe storm showing signs of rotation. And that'll be coming up on, well, this includes a lot of slivers of counties. Eastern Colorado, northern Warden, southeastern Austin, northwestern Fort Bend, southern Walker or Waller in western Harris counties. And this is for a thunderstorm showing indications of damaging straight line winds and increasing signs of rotation. About 3 to 4 miles west of Wallace. This one's going to be moving northeast at 50 miles per hour. That's going to have it crossing Interstate 10 between Sealy and Brookshire, maybe closer to Brookshire, in about 10 minutes. And again, we're going to have to keep an eye on all these storms near the coast today as a more unstable air mass advex inland, and we have extreme amounts of wind shear in place. That's been known for days ahead of time. What wasn't certain was if we were going to end up having instability. We initially thought 2 days ago this most of the instability would remain offshore. And then we've slowly trended a little further north with the storm system, which has allowed that unstable air mass to advect inland a couple counties. So that's why we're now dealing with this severe weather threat versus what we thought would be on the coast and offshore a couple days ago. So again, this thunderstorm capable of producing some damaging straight line winds. This will be approaching Highway 36 about 4 miles west-northwest of Wallace. I'm too used to dealing with southwest Oklahoma. And again, this is showing indications of rotation, and we're going to have to watch it carefully. This might be just north of the warm front, but it's close enough. To where we are going to keep an eye on it. But the only tornado warning we have right now is for southeastern Lavaca County. And that's for a thunderstorm showing indications of strong rotation now coming up on County Road 122. Not all that far southeast of Hollettsville. And a new tornado watch has just been issued. That'll include the upper Texas coast, southeast Texas, and those general areas. We'll have more specifics on that shortly. So again, a tornado warning for an area of circulation about 4 to 5 miles south of Highway 90, south-southeast of Sublime. That's going to place it about 7 miles southwest of Sheridan, which isn't showing on this map. Then you've got Rock Island This is about 12 miles southwest of Rock Island. And there's the latest velocity scan. This will be approaching, Highway 90, probably between Sublime and Sheridan. Let me clear out some of these roads. And I'll try to get some more roads on here. Again, I'll just circle a couple of these towns. That is Sheridan. That is Sublime. That is Rock Island. And then at the intersection of Highway 71 and 90, Altair. And then just northeast of that off screen is Eagle Lake. Now we'll have to wait and see if we end up with a new tornado warning. We may not. But again, this is a tornado warning for another 10 minutes for eastern Lavaca County in South Texas. Otherwise, as that circulation continues to move northeast, it looks weaker than it did. It may be just north of the warm front now. You can see on radar it's dealing with multiple thunderstorms in close proximity, which is probably helping to disrupt the circulation a bit. But there on the latest scan, you can see it does look a little more intense. And again, I'm not entirely confident this is what we call a surface-based thunderstorm, but it's close enough to the warm front to where we need to be mindful. So again, we've got about 70 miles an hour of rotation, and this is about 6,000 feet above the ground here where the radar beam is intersecting this thunderstorm. And as it continues to move north-northeast, it's going to be crossing over Highway 90 about 2 miles west of Sheridan. And then it'll be crossing over Highway 90 about 2 miles west of Sheridan, moving north of Highway 90, and then eventually, if it were to continue, it would be a threat to the city of Columbus. I'm not necessarily sure it's going to be surface-based or tornadic at that point, but we're going to watch it carefully. Otherwise, we have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for, well, a lot of counties out just west of Houston. For simplicity's sake, we'll just talk about the towns it's near. Potential for some damaging straight-line winds now just northeast of Highway 36, northwest of Wallace by probably about 4 miles, coming up on, there's FM 1438. Now northeast of Highway 36, so this will be crossing over FM 1458 in the next 10 minutes as this thunderstorm moves northeast at about 50 miles per hour. And again, this will be crossing over Interstate 10 in the next 5 to 10 minutes around Brookshire to near or west of Katy. And just like the thunderstorm coming up on Highway 90 southeast of or east of Hollettsville near Sheridan, this one isn't looking overly organized in the reflectivity department right now. Definitely signs of rotation aloft, but not necessarily any sort of indication that this thunderstorm is capable of producing a tornado at this time. The National Weather Service has yet to extend the tornado warning for Lavaca County, so we'll see if they do that. I mean, it isn't showing particularly significant signs of rotation right now, which isn't a surprise as we look at the radar data and have to deal with a lot of these thunderstorms. If we could keep this going, where we have all these storms popping up over a small region, we maybe get lucky here and keep the threat for severe weather within any individual thunderstorm more short-lived and sporadic versus sustained and long-term for now. Later this afternoon, we're going to have a line of potent thunderstorms develop along a cool front, and those are going to fly east. And those could produce damaging winds and the potential for a few tornadoes. I have neglected to mention it, unfortunately. That's my fault. We do have live storm chasing video today from Adam Lucio, Ben McCone, and Stephen Jones. I believe they're moving down to intercept these thunderstorms. I don't have their exact location this second, although actually I do. I can just look it up and tell you. Let's see where the gentlemen are. They're actually closer than I thought. They are located near Eagle Lake. They're actually coming up on Sheridan right now, so we'll have to see if we can get their live stream back. And there you go. And we'll just pop over there real quick. As you can see, they're dealing with heavy rain, limited visibility right now. They're in a poor cell coverage area, but at least we have a freeze frame. But again, they're not seeing anything visually at the moment, and today we generally expect this will be difficult to see visually given the abundant amounts of moisture and all of, well, numerous thunderstorms. aka everything's going to be rain wrapped probably. I'll go ahead and pop lightning data on here. I usually come to regret this because some days we have more lightning than I care to deal with, but we'll turn it on for now, as lightning can be a good indicator of intensification when we start seeing lightning bursts. And we're seeing a pretty good lightning burst right now with this thunderstorm just east of Sheridan. Moving off to the east, northeast at about 45 miles an hour. This will be crossing over Highway 71 near Altair. And into portions of eventually Eagle Lake. All right, we've got a new tornado warning. This is going to be in the coastal bend. This is going to be south of Victoria. So let's go ahead and dive on down there. This is going to be a tornado warning for portions of Calhoun, Victoria. And Refugio. So again, Refugio, or I'm gonna mess this up all day, but I'm trying. Refugio County, northern Refugio County, southeastern Victoria, and northwestern Calhoun counties. And this will be a tornado warning until 11:30 a.m. This tornado warning does include the communities of McFadden, Bloomington, almost Presidio, excuse me, not Presidio, Placido, up to Guadalupe on Highway 87. So again, this is a tornado warning for an area of rotation coming up on Highway 239 and Highway 77, just southwest of McFadden, and this is going to be moving northeast at about 35 to 40 miles an hour. Switch back to the how hard it's rain mode, and you can see this cell is out a little more by itself. It is exhibiting some supercellular characteristics. You can see that in terms of its hook echo right there. And again, it's going to be moving up towards the community of McFadden and eventually crossing over Highway 185, probably southeast of Victoria, near or just northwest of Bloomington. in about 20 minutes, which would be about 11:20 a.m. So Stephen, Ben, and Adam are located with this thunderstorm coming up on Sheridan. And we're also watching a thunderstorm coming up on Interstate 10 west of Katy, and a thunderstorm coming up to the south, just southeast of Victoria near Bloomington. So we'll go ahead and keep an eye on all these storms. That tornado warning for Lavaca County is going to be allowed to expire, by the way, at 11 a.m. So we're going to have one tornado warning, and that's going to be for the storm in northwestern Calhoun, southeastern Victoria, and northern I'm going to look at it again. Refugio counties until 11:30. I'm going to get myself a little more situated here. So we're going to have one tornado warning. Is going to be for a severe thunderstorm approaching McFadden, eventually moving up towards Bloomington. And again, this is going to stay southeast of Victoria, it looks like. So you can see a pretty good circulation showing up. It's not overly strong, but it's certainly noticeable. And you can see that right here, very near Highway 239 and Highway 77. It's going to be moving northeast towards Highway 185. Should get there between 11:15 and 11:20 a.m. Crossing Highway 185, probably a couple miles north of Bloomington, just southeast of Victoria. But this tornado warning does include Bloomington, does not include the city of Victoria. It includes McFadden. And again, it's going to be moving northeast at about 35 miles per hour. All right, we're going to go back up to Interstate 10. Real quick, so we might have a problem. Now let me look at another data source real quick. Because, again, this is really close to the warm front. If it's north of the warm front, it has a reduced tornado threat. If it is on the warm front, we're going to have a problem. And at the moment, the radar is showing increasing rotation, about to cross over Interstate 10 near Brookshire. But if this is just north of the warm front, well, it's producing damaging winds, but the threat of a tornado wouldn't necessarily exist as much. Yeah, they just put a tornado warning on it, so yeah, that's a problem. All right, we're going to have a tornado warning now. This is going to be in a fairly populated area. This will include Brookshire, Katy, Pattison. Let me get myself oriented. Brookshire, Pattison, Katy, Fulshire, Simonton. This is going to be for a possible tornado about to cross Interstate 10. This thing has wound itself up very quickly, showing strong indications of rotation. No debris signature at this point, but again, if you're in Brookshire on Interstate 10, you need to be in a safe place. That's going to be lowest room, center floor, away from windows. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. So again, we now have a tornado warning until 11:30 a.m., a possible tornado about to cross Interstate 10 very near Brookshire, moving to the northeast at 40 miles per hour. You can see the latest scan there. And this thing looked really wound up a minute ago. It looks a little less wound up now. I'm going to switch over to a different source. This is a terminal Doppler weather radar that updates every couple minutes, showing strong rotation approaching Brookshire on Interstate 10. And again, you can see, using this radar, that hook echo right there, that's your rear flank downdraft. And coming on back in here, that's your area of inflow. Switch over to the which way the wind's blowing mode. You can see right there, possible tornado very near Brookshire on Interstate 10. And again, this tornado warning technically includes the city of Katy. This tornado warning includes Pattison, Katy, Brookshire. This will stay north of Semonton at this point. This does include areas northwest of Attucks and south of Hockley. This doesn't include any portion of the Northwest Freeway at the moment. This does include the Grand Parkway between Interstate 10 and Highway 290. So again, this does not include 290 right now. This doesn't include 99, or does include 99 south of Highway 290 and down to Interstate 10. Okay, we'll switch back over to the which way the wind's blowing mode. And again, still strong signs of rotation over Brookshire. So again, this is a tornado warning until 11:30 a.m. for eastern Austin, northwestern Fort Bend, southeastern Waller, sorry, there we go, and western Harris County. This does not include any portion of the city of Houston. This is far western Harris County. This does include Highway 99 between Interstate 10 south of 290. Includes Katy, Pattison, and Brookshire. Let me see if I can give you some times. This is going to be near Brookshire. Well, now it's going to be passing well northwest of Katy by about 11:20. Switch back over to the which way the wind's blowing mode, and you can see again that area of rotation very near Brookshire, crossing over Interstate 10. That'll be moving to the north and or northeast. Let me put some roads on here. It'll be crossing over Morden Road, northeast of Brookshire shortly, likely near, I believe that's a Cardiff Road. So again, this will be north of Interstate 10 within 5 minutes. So anyone south of Interstate 10 near Brookshire, give yourself about another 5 minutes and you'll be good to go in terms of this specific threat of a tornado. All right, let's go back down to our other tornado warning. This is going to be for a possible tornado located southwest of Bloomington by probably about 5 miles, moving northeast at 35 to 40 miles per hour. And this storm is moving more north-northeast at about 35 to 40 miles an hour. So again, switching over to the which way the wind's blowing mode. This is going to be just northeast of McFadden. And it'll be crossing over 185 Levy Road within the next 5 to 10 minutes, likely near or just northwest of Bloomington. This should stay, in all likelihood, south of the city of Victoria by several miles. Probably from south side of Highway 59 and 185. This will probably cross about 5 to 6 miles south-southeast of Victoria. Do some housekeeping real quick. And for what it's worth, y'all can keep an eye on the sky with the Texas Storm Chasers interactive weather radar on our website and in our free mobile app. We're going to be talking about the most threatening storms today. And switching back to a Texas view real quick. Let me turn on surface radar. Y'all can see, got a lot of rain, eastern 2/3 of Texas. We have snow falling across portions of northwest Texas, west Texas, the Panhandle. We're about to see another wave of snow. Here, let's try this. Another wave of snow moving to Amarillo, the Panhandle, etc. So still snowing in the Panhandle. Looks like we're starting to see a conclusion in parts of West Texas. It's snowing heavily in parts of northwest Texas right now, southwest Oklahoma, up towards Oklahoma City. In fact, outside my window right now, I'm located in Moore, Oklahoma. It is snowing heavily at the moment. So again, most areas are going to see in northwest Texas, Panhandle right now generally below freezing, so roads may become snow-packed at times. Here in northwest Texas, where temperatures are a bit warmer, roads are probably going to stay just mostly wet. Outside of the heavier snow bands, could see slush at times, still some snow accumulating on elevated surfaces, grass, bridges, overpasses. And then tonight, when temperatures fall into the low 30s, upper 20s, whatever's down on the roads in terms of slush water is going to freeze into ice, and that's going to be a problem. Back here, eastern 2/3 of Texas, we've got moderate to heavy rain with the threat for severe thunderstorms occurring across the upper Texas coast as we continue into the afternoon. In fact, I'll go ahead and show you the tornado watch. This is a tornado watch until... this will be a tornado watch until 6 p.m. And that will be for pretty much the middle Texas coast, the coastal bend, up into the upper Texas coast, Golden Triangle, essentially along and south of Highway 59 from Beeville, the city of Houston, up towards Liberty, and then east on I-10, eventually up to Jasper. So again, let's go back to what we're dealing with right now, and that's going to be two tornado warnings. One possible tornado is now north of Interstate 10 on Morden Road, northeast of Brookshire by 2 miles. This will be crossing over Mezigler Road. And this is going to be an issue, or crossing very near the regional airport there, northwest of Katy. This will stay northwest of Katy proper. If you were northwest of Katy, you need to be in a safe place, but this will stay northwest of Katy, the center of Katy, by about probably 3 to 5 miles. Eventually, this will be crossing over Highway 99, probably halfway between 290 and Interstate 10. Let me see if I can't get some roads on here. Katy Hockley Road, north of Katy. I'm just trying to get some roads on here, so y'all might recognize what's going on. You can see this thunderstorm, in terms of its reflectivity, definitely showing indications of organization. Let me fix this color tape. Now that's correct. So again, we'll switch back over to the which way the wind is blowing mode. We'll do some analyzing with this. You can see we've got winds moving away from the radar right now. at about 90 miles an hour, winds moving towards it 20. But it's somewhat broad. You know, this isn't pixel to pixel super strong circulation. This is over about a 2-mile wide area, the mesocyclone. So we've got about 110 mile an hour shear. If this is able to tighten up, it could drop a tornado at any point. In fact, we'll switch radar sites real quick. We'll switch over to the terminal Doppler weather radar for the Houston Intercontinental Airport. This gives us velocity updates about every minute. And you can see the rotation a little differently. We're probably looking at this point, we're looking about 500 feet above the ground. So this gives us a better look at what's going on. You can see there is rotation here. We've got winds moving away from that radar site off 99 southeast side of Tomball, about 45 miles an hour moving away, about 45 moving towards. So again, about 80 mile an hour wind shear, and it is increasing over the last couple radar scans. So the threat of a tornado may be increasing. This might be just north of the radar site, which might help mitigate the threat of a tornado a little, but it is close enough to respect the fact this thing is trying to put a tornado down. You can see as we look at the reflectivity, you can actually see this reflectivity structure very clearly. Now this is using a different kind of radar, so it's not able to penetrate the rain as efficiently in terms of how hard it's raining, which is why it doesn't look as intense. But in terms of the storm structure, you can see this thing clear as day. This is your hook echo. Rear flank downdraft, now approaching Meziegler Road and Clay Road, northwest of Katy, northeast of Brookshire. This is your inflow region. Switching over to the which way the wind's blowing mode, and you can see we now have what I would consider to be almost a gate-to-gate circulation, meaning we very well could have a tornado down at any point. This is a pretty urgent call to message. For those of you northwest of Katy, northeast of Brookshire, near Clay Road, between Meziegler Road, Beckendorf Road, eventually approaching Katy-Hockley Road, you need to be in a safe place immediately as the threat of a tornado is increasing. Again, we're now up to about 90 mile an hour wind shear, and it is becoming what I consider gate to gate. So again, this is a pretty urgent call to action for the increasing probability we're about to have a tornado down. Switching back over to the how hard it's raining mode, you can see that hook echo and that circulation becoming more defined. All right, let's go back down to the coastal bend. We have a tornado warning that continues until 11:30 a.m. This is going to be for now southern Victoria County until 11:30 a.m. Okay, that's an interesting radar scan there. I don't know why the radar did that. We'll just use the fancy super duper how hard it's raining mode. But again, a potential for a brief tornado spinning up near Bloomington, about to cross over Highway 185. Rotation definitely not as intense as it was earlier, and definitely nowhere near as intense as the thunderstorm crossing north of Katy. But again, tornado warning for southern Victoria County continues until 11:30, and that will stay south of the city of Victoria. If it were to continue, it's going to be crossing over Highway 87 between Guadalupe and Placido. But the way it looks right now is not overly intense. Now, let's go back up to the city of Houston. Excuse me, the Houston Metro. This does not include the city of Houston. Let's make that abundantly clear. All right, I'm going to reorganize some of my radar data here. We'll do that. Do that. Sorry, I've got 11 monitors around me, so... All right. Let's get back to the how hard the wind's blowing mode. And again, this is the possibility of a tornado coming up on Katie Hockley Road, north of Clay Road, near Beckendorf Road. And this is going to be moving northeast at about 40 miles per hour. We'll get some more roads on here. And again, those of you who don't live here probably have no idea what roads I'm talking about when I put these up, but those of you who do live here will be able to relate a little more efficiently. In a semi-rural area right now, you can see that on the road data, but once this gets east of Highway 99, we go to dense population really quick. So again, those of you on Highway 99 up to Tuckerton Road, you need to be in a safe place. That's going to be lowest floor, center room, away from windows. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible, as this possibility of a tornado is now on Katie Hockley Road, moving towards Katie Hockley Cutoff Road, probably near Beckendorf Road, and that places it about 6 miles north of the city, or north of Katy and Highway 90. If you were along and south of Interstate 10, you are clear from this possible tornado, but there will be more storms later that could result in the potential for additional tornado warnings. We thank all those watching us this is it afternoon yet? Nope, still this morning. We thank all those watching us this morning. We appreciate you tuning in for severe weather coverage. Again, we're talking about the most threatening storms this morning. We know it's snowing across portions of West Texas, the Panhandle into Northwest Texas. We know it is raining across the eastern two-thirds of Texas, but again, we have to cover the most life-threatening storms, and that is these thunderstorms along the upper Texas coast into the coastal bend that are capable of producing tornadoes. And again, the possibility of a tornado now on Katie Hockley Road near Beckendorf Road. There's the latest update. Now east of Katie Hockley Road, coming up on Katie Hockley Cutoff Road. North of Beckendorf Road, that'll be coming up on, well, this road I'm not going to try and pronounce because, well, I'll mess it up and I'm not in the mood. Eventually, this is going to be coming up toward Highway 99. This is now about 4 miles southwest of Tuckerton Road and Highway 99, moving to the northeast at about 50 miles per hour. We're going to be approaching the edge of this tornado warning polygon soon, which means we're going to have to wait and see if the Weather Service in Houston elects to issue a new tornado warning. I'm going to pull up surface observations real quick. I want to actually take a look at the dew point because we have a warm front nearby. If this is north of the warm front, that would help knock the threat of a tornado down a bit. So again, these are just dew points. Yeah, I think the warm front is still back near Interstate 10. This storm might be moving north of the warm front into a into a less unstable air mass. See dew points up here, 54-degree dew point around Tomball, 54 at Intercontinental Airport, compared to compared to a dew point of 63 down near Missouri City, 59 near Katy. So this, in all likelihood, is going to be moving north of that warm front soon, which would reduce the threat of a tornado. Not eliminate it, but I do think the threat of a tornado is going to fall rather drastically as this gets up towards Tomball. Now, a new storm we need to talk about is a thunderstorm near Eagle Lake. We're starting to see signs of rotation now, about 6 miles northwest of Eagle Lake. And this is going to be moving northeast at 45 miles an hour. We're going to have a tornado warning from the Weather Service here pretty quick. And you'll see that pop up here in just a moment, but this is going to be a tornado warning for portions of Waller, Colorado, and Austin counties until noon. And the warning's out. It's just not showing up on this display yet, but it will. There you go. This tornado warning does include Sealy. So let me turn that off. Let's go ahead and talk about who's in and who's out. This new tornado warning includes places like just north of Eagle Lake, northeast of Altair, Cat Spring, Peters, Sealy, San Felipe, Sunnyside, Belleville, and Cat Spring. We'll switch back over to our dual box, and you'll be able to see live storm chasing video from Adam Lucio, Ben McCone, and Stephen Jones. I believe they are on this storm, looking at this storm. So again, this is a new tornado warning. Let me make sure and see where they are. Yeah, they're on this. They're looking at this possible tornado located. They're in Eagle Lake right now, looking to the northeast. The video just blanked out. It'll be back in just a second.
We just had a tornado cross the road in front of us. It flung debris everywhere. It wasn't condensed, but yeah, there were trees down, sheet metal flying. We all got it on camera.
All right, so we just had a tornado cross over Highway 102 west of Eagle Lake. So again, this thunderstorm near Eagle Lake has produced a tornado in the last few minutes on Highway 90. 102. Dealing with too much stuff right now. Their feet's blacked out, but again, had a report from Ben McCone, Stephen Jones, Adam Lucio of a tornado crossing over 90 west of Eagle Lake a few minutes ago. This thunderstorm and the tornado is going to be moving northeast towards Interstate 10, crossing over Interstate 10 east of Columbus, west of Sealy. Looking at the... There's FM 27... So again, this will be crossing over FM 2761 shortly. FM 2761, Interstate 10. This circulation is now east of County Road 149. So again, Adam Lucio, Ben McCone, Stephen Jones had a visual of a tornado crossing over Highway 90/102 a couple miles west of Eagle Lake about 5 to 10 minutes ago. We'll share video from them. They're in a spotty cell service area, obviously. We've got their video up. Heading back to our other tornado warning, let me switch back over to the... Oh, that just got canceled. So this tornado warning for Harris, Austin, Fort Bend, and Waller counties has been canceled by the National Weather Service in Houston. The same thing goes for the circulation south of Victoria. I'm not sure why these are not updating with the cancellations. But let me see if I can't fix that real quick. And they've issued a severe thunderstorm warning for Fort Bend, Harris, and Montgomery counties. All right, so we're down to technically one tornado warning. I know the radar is still showing a couple. The possibility of a tornado now approaching Interstate 10 about 11 to 12, well, let's say 10 to 12 miles west of Sealy and Highway 36 on Interstate 10. Weather Service is elected to go downstream with a severe thunderstorm warning, with this thunderstorm near Tuckerton Road, about half a mile east of Highway 99. Now, the problem with this is this thunderstorm's actually showing some stronger rotation again. Yeah, that's actually gotten pretty strong. Now, this might be just north of the warm front, meaning the potential for this to be a tornado might be lower. That being said, we're not going to completely bet on that. So, this thing is still spinning like a top aloft, coming up to Tuckerton Road and Fry Road. Now, east of Highway 99, and again, this is going to be in northern sections of Addicks, moving towards western Jersey Village. Looking at the radar, we've got winds moving towards the terminal Doppler weather radar of about 60, moving away at about 20. So still strong winds occurring with this thunderstorm, and which is why we have a severe thunderstorm warning. So again, this thunderstorm, damaging winds moving into Corville soon, west sides of Jersey Village, southeast Hockley, north of Addicks, north of Addicks. Eventually, Tomball to Corville. The potential for damaging straight line winds, perhaps a tornado. Can't totally rule out a tornado. But again, this might be just north of that warm front, which would help keep this storm what we call slightly elevated, just the threat of a tornado lower. What we do have is a tornado warning still for this thunderstorm approaching Interstate 10 near Sealy. This will be crossing probably 8 to 10 miles west of Sealy. And this storm did produce a tornado. Adam, Ben, and Steven had a visual of the tornado crossing over Highway 90, Highway 102, just west of Eagle Lake about 15 minutes ago. It did have some light debris in the air. It was likely a brief weak tornado, as the storm might have crossed the warm front. So again, we have one tornado warning right now, and that is going to be for northeastern Colorado, eastern Austin, and southwestern Waller counties until noon. This storm doesn't look as organized as it did about 20 minutes ago. And again, for the most part, hopefully we can keep these things pulsy, not, long-lived and sustained. Hopefully we can keep doing this, pulse up, pulse down, and keep these tornadoes on the brief side. Nevertheless, we do have a tornado watch through 6 p.m. for pretty much, hold on, I'll turn off the radar. Pretty much Rockport and Beeville northeast through Victoria, El Campo, to Belleville, to Jasper, south to the coast. And again, that's where the potential for a few tornadoes today will exist. Boy, that thing is trying to spin up. I'll tell you what, we're going to go back to the radar over here. And this thing makes me nervous, I'm not going to lie. This is a situation where we are borderline favorable for a tornado. This thing might be just north of the warm front, which would keep the threat for a tornado lower. But regardless, this is a dangerous thunderstorm in northern sections of Addicks, about to cross over Highway 290 between Jersey Village and Hockley. At the least, this thunderstorm is capable of producing winds over 70 miles an hour. Can't rule out a tornado. Regardless, the damaging straight line winds at this point, or the rear flank downdraft winds, crossing over Cypress Creek Bend Lane, crossing over Fry Road, about to cross over Highway 290 near Barker Cypress Road. And again, this is a indication of damaging straight line winds, potentially over 70 miles an hour, but can't rule out a tornado. Looking at the how hard it's raining mode, and again, this looks deceptively weak in terms of the how hard it's raining mode because of the kind of radar we're using, but it is a very high resolution radar that allows us to see updates every 60 seconds. You can see this hook echo. That's that surge of 60 to 70 mile an hour winds wrapping around the circulation. This would be your inflow region. Switching back over to the which way the wind's blowing mode. Let me clear out that. You can see, again, winds moving towards the radar, located up near Tomball, in the blue and green. Winds moving away in the red. And again, this is like, if there's not a tornado warning right now, but we're seeing winds over 70 miles an hour and a very strong rear flank downdraft. This could put a brief tornado down, mind you, but the biggest issue right now does seem to be damaging straight line winds coming up to Highway 290 at Barker Cypress Road over to Fry Road. Let me go ahead, press that. We'll zoom on in. Let's see what the latest radar data has. Radar data still has winds over 70 miles per hour on Greenhouse Road coming up to Barker Cypress Road and Highway 290. Once this is over 290, it'll be moving over Jarvis Road to the northeast. New tornado warning, that's going to be for this. All right, here we go again. A tornado warning now until noon. This is going to be a tornado warning for northwestern Harris County, southwestern Montgomery counties. This will be a tornado warning again for Willowbrook, Tomball, Hooks Airport, and Spring. And this again will be until noon. So this is a possible tornado about to cross over Highway 290 between Greenhouse Road. Well, pretty much right now it'd be over Greenhouse Road and Highway 290 coming up to Jarvis Road. After Jarvis Road, this is going to be crossing over Skinner Road to the northeast in a highly populated area. You've got Spring Cypress Road. It'll be crossing over Telge Road, Grant Road. There's Highway 249. Yeah, I'm just putting some road labels on here. Again, so we have a possible tornado now on Highway 290 moving northeast at about 50 miles an hour. Coming up on Jarvis Road now, then Spring Cypress Road moving towards Telge Road, then Grant Road at Spring Cypress Road, moving to the northeast at about 50 miles an hour. You can see, looking at the how hard it's raining mode, very clear-cut hook echo with this thunderstorm. Right there. Wind mode, there you go. And we don't have any indications of a tornado debris signature right now, which is good. All right, let me switch back over to the Houston radar. We'll take a look at our other tornado warning. How about we not? And this will be for the possibility of a tornado. Looks like the newest circulation might be developing much closer to Sealy. This would be about 2 miles west of Sealy, moving northeast at about 50 miles an hour. It's going to be crossing over Highway 36 within the next 5 minutes, in all likelihood near FM 2187. And these are the only 2 tornado warnings we have right now. And really quick, I'm going to go grab a Klondike bar. Give me about 30 seconds and I will be right back. All right, my apologies. Back it is 11:39 a.m. on the 24th of January 2023 in the midst of a pretty busy day in the weather department across Texas. We have two tornado warnings. One possible tornado about 2 miles west of Sealy, moving northeast at 50 miles an hour. That's going to be moving towards Sunnyside, about to cross over Highway 36. Second possible tornado just crossed over Highway 290, moving towards Corville. Switch back over to the which way the wind's blowing mode. That circulation looks much, much weaker now compared to a few minutes ago, by the way. Which is good. So that circulation's broadened out, which means it might have just crossed the warm front moving north. Once these storms are north of the warm front, we're generally going to see a lower tornado threat. Even though this storm is moving northeast to 290 now, we note additional severe weather is likely later this afternoon with more storms coming up from the west-southwest. Those of you southwest of 290 for this particular thunderstorm, west of Jersey Village, northeast of Katy, you are clear from this if you're south of 290. Additional severe storms are possible later today, so don't let your guard down. Possible tornado coming up on Spring Cypress Road, Barker Cypress Road, eventually Telge Road, and then eventually this might be crossing Highway 249 near North Point Boulevard in the next 10 minutes. Though you can see the latest radar scan has definitely shown a decrease in the rotational velocity with this thunderstorm. This will be crossing Highway 249 near Corville. Okay, let's go back west. Possibility of a tornado now near or just northeast of Highway 36. About to cross over Peter San Felipe Road. North of Sealy. If you are south of Interstate 10, near Sealy, you are clear from this thunderstorm. Additional severe weather is possible later today. So let's take a look at the how hard it's raining mode. I wanted you to note this. We have rain wrap circulation now east of Highway 36 coming up on Peter San Felipe Road. This is going to place it about 4 miles northeast of Sealy. If you're in Sealy, west, you're clear from this thunderstorm. South, you're clear from that thunderstorm. However, we have a new supercell developing on the tail end of the previous storm, and this one's going to be a problem. I'll tell you that now. There's no warning on this yet. Severe tornado. This thing's going to be a problem. It's going to be a new severe new thunderstorm, and this is going to be about 6 miles west of Wallace. That's quickly developed over the last 10 minutes, and this thing's going to be moving to the east-northeast pretty quickly too. Already starting to develop an area of rotation. Do not be surprised if this new thunderstorm ends up becoming severe or tornadic within the next 15 to 30 minutes, which would place those of you in Pattison, Brookshire, and Katy at direct risk. So again, Pattison, Brookshire, and Katy, you've already had one possible tornado now to your northeast. We've got the possibility of a new storm that is still in its incipient developing phase, now about 6 miles west of Wallace, going to be moving to the northeast at about 50. That storm has a increasing potential of becoming severe over the next 15 to 30 minutes. So don't be shocked if y'all have to take another trip to your tornado safety place. All right, otherwise we have two possible tornadoes right now. One possible tornado is now about 5 miles northeast of Sealy, moving away past Peters San Felipe Road. This is going to be moving over relatively rural areas moving up towards Sunnyside. Eventually, if this storm were to persist, it could be a threat to Waller on Highway 290. Back in the northwestern Houston metro, we have the possibility of damaging straight-line winds coming up on Spring Cypress Road. This storm, if you were right over Corville right now, so Corville is probably getting winds over 60 miles per hour. The threat of a tornado does continue. This storm might be just north of the warm front, which would reduce the threat of a tornado, but damaging straight line winds, brief tornadoes remain possible with that. So again, 2 tornado warnings right now. We've got a tornado warning for southwestern Montgomery, northwestern Harris County until noon for a possible tornado damaging straight line winds near Corville on Highway 249. Possible tornado about 6 to 7 miles northeast of Sealy, moving away at 45 to 50 miles an hour. That is going to be a threat to Sunnyside. I'm just going to look at some data real quick. And again, we're talking about the most threatening storms. I realize if we zoom out here to the statewide view, and I turn on satellite data, I know we've got snow flying in the Panhandle. Snow has generally come to an end across West Texas. Heavy snow falling across portions of northwest Texas up towards Oklahoma City. And then that little wraparound band of snow currently moving into the northern Texas Panhandle and Amarillo. It's raining and pouring across the eastern 2/3 of Texas generally, but the threat for severe weather will be confined to the upper Texas coast, down into the coastal plains and Golden Triangle. Let me turn off that data. I'll turn on the tornado watch, which is in effect until 6 p.m. Essentially, Rockport to Beeville, northeast to the Houston Metro, Galveston to Jasper, Beaumont, Orange, Port Arthur. You can see our live storm chasing feed. Those are from Adam Lucio, Ben McCone, and Stephen Jones. They are currently located southeast of Sealy. They're located right about... Oh, come on, let me draw. They're right about here, and they're going to be intercepting this new storm that is developing to their southwest as it races northeast at about 50 miles an hour. These things are flying at highway speeds today, and they don't have to stop at traffic signals, stop signs, the traffic nightmare known as Houston. Okay, let's go ahead. So we're watching their feed carefully. They're located south of Sealy. They are southwest of Sealy. We'll just take their view full. And technically, y'all should be able to hear them. So they're looking southwest at this new thunderstorm developing west of Wallace. And we'll keep a close eye on their feed. So we have 2 tornado warnings. One approaching Highway 99 in Tomball. I'm actually about to hit this terminal Doppler weather radar. That rotation does seem to be broadening out a bit, which I'd expect as these move further north. They're entering a less unstable air mass. So that will hopefully reduce the threat of a tornado. And hopefully we won't need a new tornado warning for this thunderstorm. Nevertheless, tornado warning does continue for Corville, southeast Tomball, areas just west of Spring with this thunderstorm. That is showing broad rotation, but less tight or gate to gate. It's not a very tight circulation compared to about 10 minutes ago. Think of it as a ice skater skating. Bring your arms in, they're able to spin faster. Bring your arms out, they spin slower. Same methodology occurs with mesocyclones, tornadoes, etc. Tighter they become, they can spin faster, but if it's broad, generally speaking, we're a bit less concerned. All right, let me fix this feed. Sorry, I actually have 11 monitors around me, so I am able to maintain situational awareness. So if you see me looking up, that is just me looking up at other data. But again, if you want to keep an eye on the sky, you can do so with the free Texas Storm Chasers mobile app, available in the Apple app and Google Play stores. Interactive radar on our website, texasstormchasers.com/radar. Are actually getting ready to release a updated, refreshed website with new features, but obviously you don't want to do that during critical operations, and we keep having to deal with this annoying weather, or pretty much annoying, higher impact weather about every week. So we're not going to be doing any sort of massive website app changes when all that's going on. That's just asking for something to break. Okay, so pretty much I think it is safe to say at this point, Sealy, you're clear. San Felipe, you're clear. It's pouring, it's storming, there may even be some hail. And we have a new severe thunderstorm warning. That's going to be for this storm in eastern Colorado, northern Wharton, southeastern Austin, northeastern Fort Bend, and southeastern Waller counties. This will be a severe thunderstorm warning until 12:15. For a severe thunderstorm just north of Wallace, approaching the Brazos country. This will be approaching Brookshire to Simonton to Fulshire, Pattison, and eventually Katy, damaging straight line winds of 60 miles per hour and the potential for quarter-size hail. We do note, I think there's a pretty good chance this thing is going to try and spin up in the spinny department as it moves northeast and gets near that warm front over the next 20 to 30 minutes. So we're going to have to keep a very close eye on this thunderstorm. Adam Lucio, Ben McCone, Stephen Jones are on this storm. I believe they're moving east. Yeah, they're on the Interstate 10. Yeah, they're on Interstate 10 heading east out of Sealy to stay with this thunderstorm. They're moving east towards Brookshire. So again, unless something drastic changes here, this thunderstorm near Tomball is moving into a far less unstable air mass. Temperatures back south of Interstate 10 are in the 70s. The latest temperature up at Bush Intercontinental Airport is 56 degrees Fahrenheit. It is currently 51 degrees in Conroe. So I think the threat for severe weather in terms of tornadoes is about to come to a quick conclusion with this thunderstorm near Tomball. Now, notice how this storm near Sealy almost looks like it has been ingested by this storm north of Wallace. I think a cell merger storm ingestations occurred, which is going to make this storm near Wallace our main problem over the next 30 minutes. And again, we'll just have to wait and see where this warm front is. If it's north of the warm front, it could produce hail, some damaging winds, very heavy rain, and a prolific amount of cloud-to-ground lightning, but would have a comparatively lower threat of producing tornadoes. We're going to have to watch these storms back towards Victoria. And I'm going to have to reset the radar program real quick. Tornado warning for Austin and Waller counties has been allowed to expire. I'm going to actually turn on my little air unit back here. I just have to fix that. All right. Yeah, this thing near northwest of Simonton, near Brazos country, I think is going to try to spin up at some point. Let's switch back over to the which way the wind's moving mode. We've got two little circulations I'm watching with this. One has now redeveloped about 3 miles east of San Felipe. The old circulation was up here. This is a new circulation I've circled. And then the one in the square is one that might become our dominant circulation pretty quick over the next 10 to 15 minutes. Not tornado warning there right now, but I would not be surprised if a tornado warning is necessary at some point in the next 15 to 30 minutes with this square as it moves northeast towards Brookshire and Katy. Again, we have a lot of wind shear in place. Tornado warning's been allowed to expire for Montgomery and Harris. So I think we're actually down to no tornado warnings. So we've got one severe thunderstorm, or two severe thunderstorm warnings right now, excuse me. Going to be a severe thunderstorm warning approaching Brookshire, the potential for quarter to golf ball size hail, winds over 70 miles an hour. Potential for winds over 50 miles an hour to 60 with this thunderstorm approaching Interstate 45 at Tollway 99. This thunderstorm northeast of Wallace is probably going to need a tornado warning at some point in the next 30 minutes as it moves north and east. It's an environment that would generally support that possibility, so we're not going to go anywhere. We're going to stay here, even though we have no tornado warnings at the moment. We're going to keep a close eye on these thunderstorms. But, since we have no tornado warnings, technically, those will pop off this box in a minute. Let's go ahead and look at the state. I'll even turn on satellite data. Let me clear some of these cities off. And I'll even pop a loop on over the last, well, 6 hours. That'll take a minute to load, but... Here's a loop over the last 6 hours. You can see we've had snow in the Panhandle, West Texas. Sun comes up. Beautiful satellite imagery. That area of low pressure spinning up over Amarillo. Rain snow line slowly moving east across northwest Texas. Now heavy wet snow in Wichita Falls. Still rain across Texoma, North Texas, Northeast Texas. Still raining in the eastern half of Texas, essentially, with the possibility of stronger storms in East Texas, Southeast Texas, or excuse me, the possibility of stronger storms along the upper Texas coast and in Southeast Texas through 6 p.m. where we have a tornado watch shown in the yellow box here. And that's generally going to be the expectations through this afternoon. Let me go ahead. We'll take a look at the high-resolution rapid refresh model. We'll just take a peek at that, gander, and see what it is showing for timing for the rest of the day. Alright, let me turn that lightning data off. I told y'all that would get annoying pretty quick. So we'll take a look at the HER. I'm just going to load the data. We'll let it load. We'll just go from 1 o'clock through midnight. Again, this is generally the expectations over the next several hours. You could see as we start to see the back end of that precipitation shield arrive in Texoma, North Texas, we're going to change over to snow in Northwest Texas, Texoma, even parts of the DFW Metroplex this evening. You know, it would help if I turned a timestamp on. There you go. In terms of storms, generally we're going to be done by probably 5 o'clock with the severe weather threat in southeast Texas, the upper Texas coast. Snow will continue across parts of the big country, northwest Texas, through late this afternoon. It'll become heavier, in fact. And then we'll see the potential for snow in parts of Texoma and North Texas. Let me see. I'll go ahead and pop on winter weather advisories. Give me just a second. I actually have to manually select some data. And here you go. Areas in the pink. That is going to be a winter storm warning. And then areas in the purple will be a winter weather travel advisory. And note, and the pink is where we expect the heaviest snows today and the most impacts, including surface roads. The potential for difficult travel at times, including tonight after the snow ends and temperatures go below freezing. Whatever's on the roads is going to freeze up as temperatures fall in the 20s. And the purple shaded zones across parts of the northern Permian Basin, parts of West Texas, parts of the Big Country, parts of North Texas and Texoma. That's where we could see lighter accumulations of snow, mainly on grassy surfaces, elevated surfaces, mostly going to stay wet for surface roads, with the exception of any areas that end up under heavier bursts of snow where slush is going to form. Notice this does technically include the northern DFW Metroplex now. So places like Denton, McKinney, Decatur, Gainesville, Sherman, Bonham, Bowie, Nocona, St. Joe. The possibility for snow later this afternoon and this evening, with the chance for some slick bridges and overpasses, maybe slushy roads. Grassy surfaces, maybe a dusting, maybe up to 2 inches of snow, enough to make everything white. But again, surface temperatures should remain above freezing for most of those areas, which would hopefully keep surface roads just wet. Nevertheless, surface roads being wet, obviously, traffic will still be problematic because, well, Texas drivers. All right, let's switch back over to the Awesome Blossom Super Duper Weather Radar. And we have one warning at this point, and that's going to be a severe thunderstorm warning. Excuse me, radar, why you no load? There we go. A severe thunderstorm warning for a severe storm capable of producing quarter-size hail and damaging straight-line winds over 60 miles an hour. This warning will be this storm at this point is over Brookshire down to just west of Fulshire, coming up on Katy. We'll likely see a new severe thunderstorm warning issued for places further to the east, like Cinca Ranch, Katy, Addicks, Jersey Village. probably staying north of Sugarland, though. And we are keeping an eye out for any signs of strong low-level rotation. At this point, this is a straight-line wind signature. This is just wind being pushed out. We're not seeing any sort of intense low-level rotation at this point, which is good. We don't want to see that. We'll go ahead, zoom back. Well, let me zoom back out in a minute. And by the way, I don't actually keep an eye on this in real time. I think y'all would agree you'd prefer me keeping situational awareness, keeping y'all up to date on the weather. But thank you to all those who might be sending in super chats, Facebook stars, stuff like that. We appreciate it. As you might imagine, the bills from doing all this can get up there at times. So we appreciate those who donate to help us cover our expenses, but I'd still be doing this even if y'all didn't. Obviously, we've been doing this, what? Texas Storm Chasers has been around since early 2009, which means next year's going to be our 15th anniversary. Boy, I'm old! I was a junior in high school when we started Texas Storm Chasers back in 2009. Obviously, I'm not in high school anymore, and obviously, I don't have hair anymore. And I was about 30 to 40 pounds lighter. But that's okie dokie. Oh, let's pop on over to the Chaser feed. Stephen Jones, Ben McCone, Adam Lucio are on Interstate 10 heading east. They're coming up to Katy. So they're keeping up with this thunderstorm barely. This storm's hauling to the east. Folks, don't park under interpass or interstate bridges. Parking under the bridge on the interstate is, one, a good way to get hit. Two, if you do it in travel lanes, you're going to block traffic, which I might add is illegal. And three, it's just selfish. But that's much more of an issue during hail season than now. But if you're going to, do the safe thing, pull off the interstate, get off at an exit and get off the interstate. Don't just park on the shoulder of the interstate. That makes yourself a target to get rammed in the behind by a tractor trailer. A high wind warning has just been issued for Cameron County in the Rio Grande Valley. Looks like we might have gradient winds up to 60 miles an hour around McAllen, Brownville, Harlingen, Point Island, or Port Isabel, South Padre Island. Those winds are not associated with any severe storms. Those are just south winds over 60 miles an hour ahead of this deepening area of low pressure. In fact, I'll put the satellite on here. I'm going to switch over to a mesoband. You'll be able to probably see it. This is just a loop over the last hour that'll be loading. You can see, look at all these clouds streaming to the north. We just had a report of a wind gust over 60 miles an hour in Brownsville. I'll put on surface winds real quick. Surface wind gusts. You can see it's windy in the Rio Grande Valley. It's windy. Outside of storms, it's quite windy along the upper Texas coast and the Golden Triangle. These winds, 30, 40, maybe up to 50 miles an hour later. Those are not associated with any sort of thunderstorms. Those are just gradient winds with a very intense upper-level storm system and a deepening area of low pressure. If you want to think of it as a pseudo-tropical storm, just without, the tropical aspects, go for it. So that's what we have going on there. I might actually keep that on. Alright, do we have an issue? Okay, so let's go ahead and get back to it. We might be starting to increase our spinny concerns here in Katy. A severe thunderstorm warning, but we're starting to see pockets of rotation try to develop. We have good low-level inflow. with this thunderstorm. This is all unstable air being sucked into this thunderstorm. Notice how we only have a couple showers to the south and southeast of it. No big storms blocking the warm, unstable air mass from being ingested into it. You've got a clear, defined hook echo here, but a hook echo doesn't mean you have a tornado. It means you're dealing with a supercell. In this case, we see a couple areas of spin aloft. And again, I do remain concerned with this thunderstorm, and given the past hour of storm history in this part of Houston, it is entirely possible this thing does try to spin up. I'm pretty concerned. Well, here's what would concern me over the next 10 minutes, something we need to watch. This hook echo right here, if this hook starts to swing around, that would help essentially perform that ice skater act where you bring your arms together, you can spin faster. If that hook starts to swoop around, we're going to have problems real quick in the tornado department. For the moment, no. Could that change? Yes. And that's why, even though we have no tornado warnings, we're not going anywhere. I might eat a attic bar real quick, but I suppose it would help if I switch back to the radar. Here's what we're watching, that severe storm approaching Katy. And again, if this hook swings around here, that is going to be a problem real quick. And looking at the which way the wind's blowing mode, right now we're still dealing with a fairly... This isn't a imminent tornado issue. Well, I say that, and there's a tornado warning, so definitely I guess we're trending that way. But we now have a tornado warning for this dangerous thunderstorm. This tornado warning does include the city of Katy. Possibility of a tornado now just west of Katy, moving into Katy. This tornado warning includes Cinco Ranch, Addicks, Jersey Village, North Houston, Corville. I guess I'm not eating my bar real quick. Sorry. That was not a easy bar to chew through. All right, we've got a tornado warning until 12:45. This is for northern Fort Bend County, southeastern Waller, and northwestern Harris. Now, let me turn everything off except the tornado warning. Let's talk about who's in this warning and who is not. This tornado warning includes the city of Katy. It does technically include Addicks. It includes Jersey Village. It includes Corville. This tornado warning does not include Alding, does not include Bel Air, does not include Hunters Creek Village, does not include Spring, does not include Westville, does not include Mount Houston, does not include the city of Houston, does not include any sections of Interstate 69 down to Rosenberg at this point. So again, this is for a possible tornado near Katy. We note a pretty strong lightning jump occurring, a pretty good indication of an intensifying updraft. And this thunderstorm is showing stronger rotation. It's still somewhat... It's a convergent signature, but it's not a classic tornadic signature yet. Winds moving towards the radar in southeast Houston. Winds moving away from the radar. Now, what we need to wait and see is, you see how the green and red are oriented in a longitudinal line versus a latitudinal line? If this starts to swing around, and you see, here, I'll just draw it, the greens doing something like this, and then the red's doing something like this, that is when the threat of a tornado definitely ramps up. That would be a clear-cut rotational signature. Now, make no mistake, this thing is spinning a lot of loft. But the question is, can it translate that spin aloft down to the surface? Regardless, we do have a tornado warning. I'll go ahead and put some roads back on here. Again, this is Highway 99, pretty much the same area as we were talking about earlier. There's the latest. Again, this is the only tornado warning we're dealing with. You keep. Oh, by the way, y'all can track these storms down to your neighborhood if you want. Free interactive weather radar on our website, texasstormchasers.com/radar. This storm's moving east-northeast at about 45 miles an hour. And just like the storms earlier, this will eventually cross into colder air. It's only 55 degrees at Intercontinental Airport right now. It's 64 at Southwest Houston. It is 68 down north of Alvin. 68 near Arcola. 70 Bay City, 75 at Port Lavaca. This is where the unstable air mass is. You'll note it's still stable over here in Beaumont, 52 degrees, 54 in Port Arthur, 55 in Orange. A warm front is lifting north. As that warm front lifts north, much more unstable air, much warmer temperatures, much higher dew point values affect north. Storms along and south of that warm front and that unstable air mass are in a volatile environment for severe weather, including the possibility of a few tornadoes. North of that warm front, it's rain-cooled air, temperatures in the 40s and 50s, much lower threat for severe weather. It's just exactly when does this storm cross over that warm front is the question. This storm might be just north of that warm front right now. If it is, the threat of a tornado will be lower, at least a longer-lived tornado. If it is on that warm front, that can actually help enhance the possibility of a tornado because that warm front adds a little extra spin to the atmosphere, and the atmosphere already has extreme amounts of wind shear in place and spin available today. Honestly, we were concerned, there was some concern that the wind shear would be too strong and just knock these storms over. And of course, 2 days ago, we thought the unstable air mass would stay offshore. Obviously, that didn't happen because this trended a little farther north, but there you go. All right, let's take a look at these storms down here. I don't see any issues right now. I'm just checking for my own sake and well-being, possible sanity, at least any sanity I may have had left. Stephen Jones, Adam Lucio, Ben McHone are on this storm. In fact, let me see if I can't just add a... I'm just going to put Houston Metro, because I don't have time to go in and update all that all day. But you can watch their stream, by the way, alone or individually on our YouTube channel, Texas Storm Chasers, on our website, texasstormchasers.com, and in our free mobile app. Yes, that is my super duper announcer voice. All right, now we are starting to see a little bit of a kink here. What I talked about a few minutes ago versus from this going from a longitudinal sort of wind shift to a latitudinal. Starting to see that here. Kind of starting to go like that. We're starting to go like that. So we'll have to see if this is able to squeak out a quick tornado before it is able to move north of that warm front into a much more stable air mass. A tornado warning continues until 12:45 for portions of northern Fort Bend County, southeastern Waller County, and northwestern Harris County. And that continues for 12:45. A possible tornado located now east of Highway 99, about, well, let's just say 2 miles north of Interstate 10, moving northeast towards Jersey Village at about 45 miles per hour. So those of you in Jersey Village, North Houston, attics east of Katy need to be in a safe place. It's going to be lowest floor, center room, away from windows. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. We don't want you trying to go outside and look for this thing because you're not going to be able to see it. It is wrapped in rain. All right, tornado warning has been canceled for Fort Bend and Waller counties. Tornado warnings out of those counties. If you're in Katy, you're clear. Cinco Ranch, you're clear. Tornado warning does continue until 12:45 for northwestern Harris County. Again, this is going to be for, let me just turn off the radar data so you can see, and I'll show you. There you go. It's going to be for Jersey Village, areas just northeast of Katy. Pretty much in Addicks, north of Interstate 10. It's going to include Highway 8 from Interstate 10 up towards Highway 249. Technically, Corville is in this tornado warning. I think it's going to stay a couple miles south of the earlier storm. But from our chasers on scene visually, Stephen, Adam, and Ben, they're reporting this is pretty murky. Visually speaking, it's messy. This might be just north of the warm front. Could still squeak out a brief tornado, and that's why we have a tornado warning in effect. We're watching it. Now, in terms of what does concern me for the longer term, as in the next 1 to 2 hours, this stuff down Highway 59, Edna, Ganado, southwest of El Campo, these are starting to take on supercellular characteristics. Those are in an air mass with a lot of instability, a crazy amount of wind shear. So we're going to have to watch those storms with vigilance. And we also note with all these storms moving across the Houston metro, it's pouring rain. There's probably going to be some flooding. It's Houston. It typically floods. We're not going to be overly concerned about that right now, but we will watch it just in case something unusual happens. So again, tornado warning for northwestern Harris County until 12:45. At 12:19 p.m., a possible tornado is located near Addicks Park 10, moving northeast at a brisk 50 miles per hour. This storm is moving towards Jersey Village, Satsuma, north of the community of Addicks, north of Interstate 10. This is not an issue for folks on or south of Interstate 10 anymore. If you are in the city of Katy, you're clear from this. This is northeast of you. If you are in or north of Addicks, be in a safe place. If you're in Satsuma, be in a safe place. If you are in North Houston, Corville, be in a safe place. This tornado warning at this point does not include Spring, Alding, Westfield, Bammel. This does not include Interstate 45 at Highway 8. This does not include downtown Houston. This does not include areas south of Houston, east of Houston, north of Houston. Those areas are in a much more stable environment. Temperatures in the 40s and 50s. So again, those of you watching us, thanks for joining us. You can keep an eye on these activity in your neck of the woods with our interactive weather radar on our website and our free mobile app. Just search for Texas Storm Chasers in the App Store. In fact, you can watch us in the app too. Okay, let's go ahead, zoom out, take a look what else is going on. It's pouring rain. Here, we'll just zoom to Texas. It is pouring rain across the eastern half of Texas, a good soaking. Severe weather threat remains concentrated along the upper Texas coast, and that is where it will stay. We still have snow falling in northwest Texas, where we are probably still going to have snow falling for several more hours yet. That rain snow line will slowly move to the east, eventually probably making it towards DFW, Gainesville, Sherman, and then by this evening, as we see the last precipitation depart, we're likely going to see snow in parts of northeast Texas. Still snowing in parts of Amarillo on the backside of that system. We expect the severe weather threat in Texas to conclude by 5 o'clock. I'll go ahead, we'll pop on the high-resolution rapid refresh model real quick. Let me do some housekeeping, get some of these cities off the map, change the upper third. There you go. Happy birthday, Merry Christmas, whatever holiday you prefer. Let's load the high-res rapid refresh, or the HER. Alright, we'll load an animation. This will be from 1 p.m. through midnight. And again, this model's not perfect, but it will allow us to get an idea of where things are going to be over the next several hours. So again, severe weather threat, that's going to end in Texas by probably 5 o'clock, move east of the state. Most of the precip in terms of the heavier rain, we'll see East Texas this afternoon. We'll have a break. And then the backside precipitation on the backside of this area of low pressure will bring the chance for additional snow to northwest Texas, parts of the Big Country, even down into North Texas and the DFW Metroplex. Now, and that's through midnight. In fact, hold on, let me get it to load through midnight. Stupid thing. Technology and I don't get along. Really? Why are you not loading? Alright. There we go, 8 o'clock. If I just have to load it manually, so be it. There's 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and 12. Now let me see if I can see snow depth. So again, in terms of snow, here I'll change the upper third real quick. So y'all know what the colors mean. This is what we're looking at for snow depth. Notice even though this model depicted a pretty good area of snow, we're not going to see a big time, accumulating snow event in Texoma, North Texas. Most of what's going to fall is going to melt because surface temperatures are above freezing and ground temperatures are above freezing. That being said, yeah, there's still going to be accumulations probably on grassy surfaces, maybe some bridges, overpasses in northern DFW, Texoma this evening, but definitely not expecting a full-fledged winter storm bonanza here in terms of travel difficulties in North Texas and Texoma. The Panhandle, West Texas, yes, it's colder. Snow's going to probably accumulate on some roads. And whatever is still there come sunset and tonight when temperatures fall into the 20s is going to freeze into ice. All right, the storm I mentioned about 10 minutes ago that we're going to have to watch carefully over the next hour is now under a severe thunderstorm warning. That's a severe thunderstorm warning for Worden and Jackson counties in the coastal bend. This is until 1 o'clock for a severe storm near Edna, moving northeast at 40, capable of 60-mile-an-hour winds and quarter-size hail. Tornado warning for Harris County has been canceled. That storm, as expected, is north of the warm front. No more tornado warning with that. So, no tornado warning there. We have no tornado warnings. Storm moving into North Houston. Heavy rain, a lot of lightning, possibly some flooding. The potential for damaging winds, maybe up to 60 miles an hour. And then this is the storm we're going to be watching carefully over the next several minutes into the next 30 minutes as it moves to the northeast up Highway 59 in a fairly unstable environment. That one might be our tornado producer of the day if it can get its act together. So we have no tornado warnings, which is nice. But a tornado watch does remain in effect until 6 p.m. for the upper Texas coast. And southeast Texas. All right. So we have a break. Let's see. So at this point, I think we will go ahead and take a break from our continuous live severe weather coverage. We'll be here monitoring things, and when we have let me check that real quick. And if we have another tornado warning, we'll be back in a jiffy. Otherwise, keep an eye on the sky with the Texas Storm Chasers Interactive Weather Radar on our website, texasstormchasers.com/radar, and be sure to head on over to the Texas Storm Chasers YouTube channel. You can watch the live storm chasing video of Adam Lucio, Ben McCone, and Stephen Jones. Y'all have a good afternoon. God bless. We will be here keeping an eye on things.